Brace yourselves to stand trial beside the ominous lord of the underworld himself and weigh judgment on charges of willful cosmic evil. Welcome to Mythology's Monsters, and in this video we'll explore Hades, the stern Greek god governing the dead and ruler of vast realms beneath reality's surface. We will trace bloodline origins tying Hades with primal forces present during the shaping of reality itself. Learn how lot casting between original Titan siblings allotted him shadowy dominion over 1/3 of all mortal souls who must pass through his melancholy kingdom. Our case will reference the feared subterranean geography spanning his multi-tiered realm churning in perpetual twilight. Souls tailored either towards just deserts or unfair demise from above. We will also indict Hades for alleged offenses against desperate mortals seeking lost beloved ones or second chances unlawfully. Then, after considerable debate and interpretation of his spirit beyond mere surface folklore, you, the jury, must decide if pallid Hades merits condemnation as antagonist bent on monopolizing death's grip over life undeservedly, or does instead the necessary purpose towards upholding equilibrium between sentient beings unfold beneath his severe countenance, shepherding all towards inevitable twilight. The verdict weighs solely upon thy reasoned insight below. According to archaic tablets first transcribed by Hesiod, Hades arose during a transitional gulf between multiple mighty origin pantheons commanding the Grecian landscape. Their final race were the Titans, children born from the initial yin-yang cosmic pairing of Auranas, the heavens, and Gaia, the earth. Both their union and eventual separation birthed extended families of elementally aligned god beings wielding great checked might over lands, seasons, and mortal psyches appealed to for favorable fortunes through rites and offerings. These second-generation children also warred violently through rivalry and ambition. Cronus the chrono-wizard eventually triumphed over his father and allies to secure kingly status among sibling titans. His wife Rhea then birthed multiple progenies who themselves overthrew Cronus later when he proved tyrannous in turn. Her firstborn was pink and thunderous Zeus. Then came sea-born Poseidon, whose waves grasped eternally to wear down shorelines. Gorgeous goddess Demeter arose, whose laughter brought forth golden abundance during harvest festivals still. Finally, after them came pale hollow-eyed Hades and his twin sister Hestia, anchoring polarities between external successes chasing vainglory or inner purpose-stoking community fires respectively. All were swallowed briefly by paranoid father Cronus, afraid they someday might overthrow his rule just as he had Uranus. Until adult Zeus rescued them from the Titan's stomach back into world events unfolding next. With cosmological realms now divided by lottery between triumphant siblings, Hades accepted his assignment, appointed by fate to govern over deceased mortal spirits drifting from corporal husks. His aura thus drained slowly into associated gloom and implacability, removing joy or ambition's fleeting comforts. Kingdom holdings stretched vastly through subterranean layers, both physical and dimensional, that the Greeks deemed Erebus, a gray land laced with ghostly caverns and rivers which the newly appointed god of death now called his home. From an ornate onyx throne built before stacked femurs dimly lit by wispy torch sconces, Lord Hades adjudicated arriving souls sent to him by divine messenger Hermes in the hell realms below reality, commonly mistaken as Pluto's Greek equivalent. Each spirit told its story by the scribe to weigh deeds and life, determining where it then transferred to next in the manifold afterlife based on virtues walked above. Through remorseless bureaucracy, proud heroes might gain invitations into paradisal Elysium fields reserved for brave or just mortals honored by gods. Whereas malicious, unrepentant hearts endured grotesque punishment tailored metaphorically across zones like fiery Phlegethon or eternally clanking Tartarus, maddened until alleviated through later reincarnations back above. All petitioners ultimately stood judgment before this impassively evaluating king, who himself answered only to august fate. For dread Hades never left his subterranean duty, even when Olympians of younger splendor cavorted in glades kissed by Apollo's grace overhead. His flesh waxed perpetually bloodless and skeletally gaunt from never witnessing daylight. Lips thin, pale, and humorless, resting beside hollow, haunted eyes reflecting distant eons he witnessed governing the damned, churning slowly among ashen temples chained far below where mortals trod briefly, blinded by sun and self. Few souls embodied deeper sovereignty or called relentless power their own equal as Hades processed mortality's unending tide. Only attending lavish nectar banquets reluctantly did the stiff Stygian ruler socialize among divine peers. Always he returned quickly through secretly gnawed tunnels to oversee traffic of lamenting ghosts myopically for signs of disorder or imbalance needing corrected through unleashed fury. Thus did disembodied Greeks pass whispered epithets of host of many or lord of wealth, signifying the eventual multitude fate promised every living body's remainder held where flitting shades dwelled clutching denial and regrets near Lethe's soothing waters promising forgetfulness. Seldom did living tongues dare directly invoke Hades proper for fear of gaining underworldly listeners' attention. The fallen king notorious among pantheons for tightly clutching souls snared within his gloom-shrouded realm once departed flesh. Only young goddess Persephone kept the withdrawn Hades company during endless twilight years reigning through death's silent domain. Her vernal mother Demeter allowed annual returning to Olympus those months when nature itself approached dormancy. But even refreshing youth faded under grim irrevocability ruling inevitability for mortals whose graying faces stared back from cavern pools daily shuffling towards finality ahead. All souls stood equal when weighed against perpetually rebuilding Osiris scales measuring feathered truth except deceitful few attempting escape after betrayal. Those guided towards green pastures walked identical narrow causeways near the treacherous who reaped their own despair sowed in times past. Until flesh failed, all futures remained potential, yet afterwards came scything harvest into Hades' swelling palace. For every mortal, dry stalks ultimately yellowed despite Demeter's grief or else Zeus's shaking nimbus threats delaying inevitable decay by scant months, weeks, or stolen days. The underlying lord below chooses when death itself collapses hourglasses whose sand inevitably flows according to unhurried laws. Countless episodes illuminate Hades executing expected services without vindictiveness. All apportioned graybeard wisdom judiciously to dead hearts strictly according only precepts set by fate and the furies avenging evil above. Truly pious Orpheus blessed by Apollo's 9 muses charmed spirits rousing musical tears from their lord to win the resurrection of his tragically expired wife Eurydice stolen early. Intrepid Odysseus braved consulting the restless augur Tiresias after spilling sacrificial blood prompting little less from stoic Hades who forced prophecy from the sullen phantom. But manipulate inevitable decay itself or teach arts prolonging doomed mortals. This violation provoked Olympian thunder split by Zeus' own bolts against gifted healer Asclepius for welcoming back too many spirits prematurely. Sisyphus also earned dire wrath extending existence dishonestly rolling boulders unceasingly once dragged back from stolen freedom. Stern laws compelled an implacable response against upsetting necessitous equilibrium maintained by ancient Hades since time first flickered across mortal flesh and fruitful furrows. Thus in closing we see commit no outright wickedness from the silent Styx overseer. All succumb to death's hungry jaws eventually no matter angry letters from pious relatives insisting more needed service in life. Necessary purging and renewal grinds on unfastidious for the pallid lord below acting on orders bearing no malice save that organic to primal ricochets of cosmic causality no man or god entirely tames. The forgotten fundamentally drink from Lethe's silver waters equally. Do not weep for those who fulfill their fate in the proper season even should that season never warm enough those who yet depend stiffly on sunnier times. This court deems Hades not guilty of hateful universal evil. His glacial governance preserved a circle of lives and passed onward without partiality. Through an emotionless, profoundly structured lens manifesting crystallized death itself, sublime balance and equity extends far beyond ethical leanings as man imperfectly assesses them during the flickering tumult above. If he sends any signal at all from that beshrouded throne, perhaps austere Hades ultimately reminds all souls that beyond the game of glorious fortunes eventually won or lost, lies peaceful acceptance embracing night forever sublimely still. The court rests now to your ruling below. Make death sentence informed through discussion, compassion, and truth.